Riders are the best team in the Canadian Football League. There is nobody better. Stop. Our 7-1 record has us tops in the league. But is this an uncomfortable position for a lot of us in Rider Nation? I mean, we dream about this, don't we? Going into the game last week against Montreal, I think a lot of us were cautiously optimistic and curious. How good is this Saskatchewan Rough Rider club this year? We were finally going to face some real competition. How would we stack up against a pretty good Montreal team? Although there was going to be injuries, they're missing their starting quarterback. If we played well on the road, and we don't always play well on the road in the Montreal, could we beat them? Maybe it's a 3-point game. Maybe we win by 7, 10. There was nobody picking a 10-point Rider win. 28 points. And that's the problem. Here we are, 4 or 5 days later? Why can't we just enjoy it and not have that sinking feeling like the other shoe is about to drop? Like someone is going to wake us up from this dream and it's a nightmare. Welcome to the Wednesday edition of the Sports Cage. It's Maz in for Barney. And for the next 3 hours, we're talking sports. Riders, talking Red Sox. We're probably going to talk wrestling because there's a serious Saskatchewan connection with SummerSlam last weekend. A lot going on. If you're listening on 620 CKRM, love it. If you've got us on the CKRM app, appreciate it. If you haven't yet, you can download that Apple or Android store and never miss a minute of what we're doing. You can get the notifications right on your phone. We're streaming this show on our socials, as always, on X and on YouTube. Follow and subscribe. Lot. If you're good with your phone, if not, sportscage.com, just click one button and you can start the experience. And your calls are always welcome. 1-866-767-0620. SportsCage is for Regina Motor Products. The RMP summer offer is on until August 31st. You can get a $25 SOE gift card with the purchase of a vehicle health check and oil change. Visit RMP today. We're 7-1. I mean, we should be running up and down Albert Street, right? With a Rider flag tied around our neck as a cape in the off season. After we lose that West final to the Bombers, if someone said, don't panic. It's year 1 of Corey Mace. He's building something special. 8 games into the year 2 of Corey Mace's tenure, you're going to be 7-1. Would you have taken it? Yes. The answer is yes. But why does it feel just a little off? Maybe it's past history. Maybe knowing that the football gods, they can give, but they can also take away. And we've seen them take away, and at the worst time. It's not always an equal balance when it comes to the football gods. The thing that really got me was the post-game show on the weekend. After the Rider game, Rider Nation post-game show, the best post-game shows to me are when the callers are crazy, delusional on either one end of Rider Nation or the other. But there was a lot of people that were being level-headed, cautiously optimistic, just very 50-50, not too high, not too low. We've got some of the calls. If you didn't get a chance to check out the post-game show after the big win. Colson, if we're ready, here's what Bob had to say after the game on Saturday in the big win.
I would like everybody to hold their jets a little bit on the Riders. They might be 7-1, but they haven't played Winnipeg yet. And we got 2 games coming up in early September against Winnipeg. We'll decide if we have a team after we play them.
All right. Before the season started, I said, because Winnipeg, being the defending West Division champions, and they go to the Grey Cup every year, they don't always win, that this year we needed to get the monkey off our back. We need to win in Winnipeg. We play the Bombers 3 times. If we beat the Bombers 3 times, Grey Cup all the way, Rider Nation hammered down, championship number 5 is ours. And for the Bombers, Charleston Hughes said it last week, inconsistency is the tag that they hold. Look great some games, other games, a bit of a mess. And that's not a usual for a Mike O'Shea team. Now they've got some injuries. Chris Streveler is not Zach Collaros. There's no Dalton Schoen. He's on the 6th game. They still got Willie Jefferson. But this weekend, We'll find out which Bomber team will show up. They play the Stamps again. Vernon Adams is going to be back. And reports out of Stampeder training camp has Adam Bighill potentially starting for the Stampeders. How emotional is that going to be? Another call that is not deranged, not delusional, just kind of we're taking it all in. This is what Wayne had to say after the game.
Just wanted to congratulate the guys on a great game. Surprised me, to be quite honest, because everybody was talking about Noel Thorpe, how good he is as a defensive coordinator. And I understand they have injuries and stuff, but everybody has to go through that, right? And they're playing their backup. So if some of the fans are getting ready to have the parade route for the Grey Cup, they can just put it on hold. But right now, I think we are the best team. And the reason I'm so calm about everything is because of Corey Mace. He's probably one of the best coaches we've had in years.
Rider Nation, if you don't know this story, I was reminded of it on the weekend on Twitter. Every once in a while, somebody that I follow puts it up. A couple years ago, the Ottawa Red Blacks were interviewing two candidates for their head coaching position, Bob Dice and Corey Mace. They chose Bob Dice. What if they chose Corey Mace and he wasn't doing his thing here in Rider Nation? Not to say that we couldn't be successful, but there was an opportunity there for Corey to be leading the Red Blacks. It's year 2 of Corey Mace, and in Corey we trust. And that's growing week over week. Yesterday on the show, I said Trevor Harris stays healthy. That's the key to the Riders' success. A lot of the other teams, we see how steep the drop-off is when you lose your starting quarterback. And we've already played one game without Trevor. We're fortunate to get a win. Jake Mayer came in and did what he needed to do. But other teams are going through it, and we're taking advantage of it. And that's good. We're winning the games that Rider teams in the past didn't always take advantage of. This is a bit of a long one. This is Trevor. There's a lot of things that he likes about this Rider club this year. This is Trevor after the game on Saturday.
Oh, absolutely. I think, you got to look at their whole line, their receivers this year. Like, they got depth. They got guys that can fill holes when guys go down. Like we're not missing a beat at receiver. Look at our O-line, in training camp. We had two O-linemen that went down in training camp. And we had that one bad game against Calgary, but, those games happen. But overall, you got to give kudos to Jeremy O'Day and the staff, whatever they did there to bring in the depth. Like, the Canadian depth too is beyond belief. I haven't seen that in maybe since I don't know. It's been a long time since I've seen our Canadian depth that good. With Duncan Busby and you go on and on. We're not missing a beat. Like Schaefer Baker, you can almost say, who is that guy right now? Because you don't really have to. You're not really missing them right now because they're just playing so well. It's fun to see guys coming in and just doing their job, and these guys have been it looks like they've been playing for years.
That's Trevor on the post-game show Saturday. Listen how calm everybody was. You blow out the Montreal Alouettes by 28 points. You could do it. Listen, no one would blame you if you were trying to do a victory lap on the Rider Nation postgame show. All right? Talk trash, maybe. Rubbing some faces in it. Noel Thorpe, stop. Overrated. Old. Sean Lemon, who's he? Has he met Shane Ray? By the way, that Shane Ray, if they would have came back on that replay and said, listen, it was roughing the passer because he put his body weight into the quarterback, that could have been a call. There was a huge debate online. But everything was all green on Saturday. Everything was coming up Riders. 1-866-767-0620. If you didn't get a chance to have your say after the game on Saturday, What's your take on Rider Nation? Let's take a snapshot. 7-1. Remember last year? Weren't we 5-1 before the 7-game losing streak? And remember about weeks 4, 5, 6, and 7 doing this show, we're looking for anything to talk our way out of it. We're looking for any little piece of positivity we could find, whether it was a guest we were interviewing or segments we were doing, to be like, we're gonna will our way to our next win. Things are good. These are champagne problems, Rider Nation. Champagne problem to be 7-1. And we're on a bye, and now we wait. The Hamilton Ticats are the next opponent. They're coming to town. If you haven't done it yet, SaskTel pick the score. Do we put up a 50 burger on those Ticats coming up? Not next Saturday, 1 o'clock. You can text us your name and your score prediction. That'll be easy, right? You can get it to us, 306-936-6262, Prairie Land Rentals text line. Not only could you win tickets to the Labor Day Classic, you could also win a $200 SaskTel gift card. All right, coming up on the show today, Murad Al-Katib from the Regina Thunder. He'll join us just after 4 o'clock. The Thunder opened their regular season Sunday in Edmonton against the Wildcats. And my first question for Murad is, after losing last year in the semifinal to the Okanagan Sun, how much time did he give himself to process that game and then move on to start thinking about the 2025 season? I bet you it's less than an hour. We're on to the next. It's a special Wednesday edition of Double Talk with Darian Durant. Because of the holiday on Monday, Darian's usually on Monday at 5. Ooh, which, by the way, I'll save it. We have a little announcement for 5 o'clock when Darian comes on. Edition of Double Talk with Darian. Yeah, we may talk wrestling, but I may need Colson's help on this. Colson running things today, one of the double C's. But we may need Greg from the Piffles podcast. He's my wrestling guy. I can't talk wrestling with Barney. Barney doesn't. If you could bet on it, I'm sure Barney would be interested, but he's not. So we may have to, live radio, we may have to make a call. Coming up next, though, Gary Brotzel, general manager of the Regina Red Sox. The WCBL playoffs open tonight. They're in Medicine Hat to take on the Mavericks. It is game 1, best of 3 series. Sox need a great performance tonight on the road. We'll check in with Gary next. This is the Sports Cage on the home of local sports in Saskatchewan, 620 CKRM. Welcome back to the Sports Cage. It's brought to you by Regina Motor Products. The RMP summer offer is on now until August 31st. Get a $25 SOE gift card with the purchase of a vehicle health check and oil change. Visit RMP today. The Western Canadian Baseball League playoffs start tonight. It's game 1 in Medicine Hat, the semifinals. Regina Red Sox and the Medicine Hat Mavericks. On the Western Pizza guest hotline is general manager Gary Brotzel. Gary, you finished the regular season 29 wins and 27 losses. And I don't know how you feel about that, but I really like what you did in those last 10. Your club went 7-3. Heading into the playoffs, that's got to be encouraging, right?
Yeah, it is. And, the thing that a lot of people don't realize is since July 1st, we literally lost 15 players, including our whole starting rotation. So right at the signing deadline of July 25th or a few days before, we were able to bring in 3 or 4 guys, a little bit of pitching depth, and it's taking those players just a little bit to kind of get used to the team and meet their new teammates. But I feel like everybody's bought in now and we're gelling, and beating Saskatoon back-to-back last weekend was a big plus for our team.
You mentioned the Berries. They finished the WCBL regular season 46-9. You handed them a couple of those losses. Outside of the obvious, what made Saskatoon so good this year?
Well, they had solid pitching. I mean, to win that many ball games, you have to have good pitching, good defense, and good hitting. You have to have it all, which they did. At times I thought our team had all of that during the season, and then we kind of went into a bit of a funk where we'd have pitching one night and no hitting, and then next night we'd come out and have tons of hitting and poor pitching. And it seems like right now we're kind of getting it all going together, where we're getting a little bit of pitching and just enough hitting to win some ball games.
As a casual fan, I always notice regular season hockey and regular season baseball are played one way. But come the playoffs, it's completely different, especially in baseball. It goes back to when we were kids, right? Fundamentals, hitting, base running, strategy, coaching. And you have one of the best in Raipo Thakos. What makes him so special? Because now it's not necessarily about the long ball and the highlights. It's about being tactical when you need to be.
Yeah, that's right. Obviously, Rye's been involved in the game a long time, and you're exactly right. Come playoff time, that sacrifice bunt that maybe you popped up in the regular season's got to go on the ground. The hit and run that you called in the regular season, guy swung through and you had to strike out, throw him out, double play. You got to make contact and, hit the ball the other way and do all those little things to put runs on the board, because runs could be scarce, and you got to get them while you can.
The one thing I love, and it's a double-edged sword, 3-game series. Get hot fast, and it can be over quick, whether that you're taking on the Berries, and luckily you're not, or the Medicine Hat Mavericks, because you're going to play threes all the way through. Medicine Hat goes 34-21 in the regular season. What do you have to do to pick up a couple of wins to move on to the next round?
Well, we matched up well with Medicine Hat, 4-4. One of the interesting things was they won 3 out of 4 at home. We won 3 out of 4 at home, so it appears that maybe there could be a little bit of a home field advantage, but the two pitchers that they're seeing in the first 2 games for us, Landon Riley and Chris Spry, they haven't seen them yet. So I think that's a bit of an advantage for us. We're hoping Landon can go into Medicine Hat tonight, throw a gem for us, and we can steal game 1 on the road. That would be fantastic.
All right, so in the other series, you've got Saskatoon taking on Moose Jaw. The Miller Express draw the short straw to take on the Berries, but it is a short series. You have an off night, and all of a sudden, you're behind the 8 ball. Brooks, Okotoks, Lethbridge, Sylvan Lake. But up first, it's the Medicine Hat Mavericks. So game 1 in Medicine Hat, game 2 tomorrow night, Curry Field, 7 o'clock. We'll get to the details in a sec. But real quick, if it does go to game 3, where will that be played?
That'll be a Medicine Hat on Friday. It's just up and back. There's no days off. The second series goes on Saturday. Like, we just roll right into the next series. The only travel day would be in the final. Between the semifinal and the league final, there would be 1 day off. Other than that, it's go every night, and we got to finish up quick here, so a lot of our players got to get back to school.
And for anybody that's thinking about coming to the ballpark tomorrow night, 7 o'clock first pitch, as you've done all throughout the regular season?
Yeah, 7 o'clock, and tickets can be bought on our website, reginaredsox.com. Lately, there's been some ticket scams floating around, so just beware out there. There's kind of these sites that are kind of reselling our tickets that they don't actually have our tickets, so just be careful. Go to our website. That's the only place you should be buying tickets.
Or you could do it the old school way. Walk up with a fistful of money to the ticket window, just like we all had to, and have a great night at the ballpark.
Well, that works too, and we're happy to take everybody's cash.
No Venmo here. All right, it's Gary Brotzel, Regina Red Sox president, general manager. Best of luck tonight against the Medicine Hat Mavericks as the WCBL playoffs kick off for 2025. This is the home of local sports in Saskatchewan. You're listening to 620 CKRM. Week 10 of the CFL kicks off tomorrow night. The BC Lions are in Hamilton to take on the Ticats. The Ticats are the hottest team in the league. They started 0-2 and they've rattled off 6 straight. Bo Levi Mitchell is now, did he pass Doug Flutie last weekend? He's 9th all time on the passing list. I mean, the Ticats are on fire. I got confirmation Rick Zamperin will join the show next Wednesday. Rick is the play-by-play guy for the Hamilton Ticats. Him and Simone Lawrence call the game, so he'll be on the show next Wednesday afternoon. That should be a good game tomorrow night. The Lions, and a lot of people smarter than me before the start of the season said this whole Nathan Rourke thing, they didn't think he was going to have a great year. There is still too much pressure on him to be everything in BC for the Lions. Not only is his contract so far out of whack from what everybody else gets paid, and that's not his fault. But it's disproportionate. Maybe we'll ask Durant this, because when Durant would have been the highest paid rider being the quarterback, but it was in quarterback realm, $500,000. He's like 670, 680, which means that there's not enough to go around in other spots. A lot of pressure on him for the Lions to be really good, and they haven't been. He hasn't regained that 2022 form. Some people said he may never. Maybe the NFL thing, as we've seen with a lot of other players, doesn't always help you when you come back home. Tomorrow night, they're in Hamilton to take on the Ticats. A Ticat win we like because we don't need the Lions keeping pace with the Riders. We just don't. But I have new respect for Hamilton. They play a little sloppy. And even Suits has said their defense but it's getting better. They had some injuries. There's some rookies on there, the guys that we're just not familiar with, but they're starting to play really well. And their depth chart from week to week isn't changing. I saw it from today. There's a couple of changes. And I think there's 3. And that's it. So they've managed to put the same team on the field for the past 6 weeks for the most part, and it's paying off. And Bo Levi's looking like Bo Levi of 10 years ago. I think Charleston will give us Bo Levi's number. Maybe we can get him on. Well, we'll do that. Charleston Hughes apparently is at SeaWorld this week on vacation. We're going to try and get him on the show next week. Find out, did he ride Shamu? I've been checking social media. I haven't seen anything yet. You're not allowed to ride the animals. We do know that. But he said maybe he can do his surf move on top of there. Edmonton's at Montreal. Cody Fajardo has the Elks playing better. In the past 2 games, the Elks have looked like a different football team. They haven't won. Games have been closer. They haven't won. But the Trey Ford thing, in spurts and doses, it's got its spot. Say what you want about Chris Jones. Maybe you hate the man. He was the Johnny Cash of the CFL, always wearing black. But maybe he knew a thing or two about football. Maybe you didn't always agree with every move. Sure, if you're Wesleyan Dressler or you're a Dressler fan of Jersey, you don't agree with how he got done dirty here by him. No, but maybe he knew that Trey Ford wasn't starting material for the Edmonton Elks, and that's why he didn't start him unless he had to because of injury. And here they are. Cody Fajardo has made that Elk team look 1,000,000 times better. Ed Hervey's been conspicuously quiet, hasn't he? Ed won free agency in the offseason. The whole no superstars. Trey Ford's our starter. They tank and nothing. Is Ed going to come out and own any of this? It may be too late. If the Elks don't, we said this last week, if the Elks don't win in Montreal on Friday, is this season lost? I don't necessarily know, knock on wood, that the Riders, the Stamps, and the Bombers, even the Lions to them, are going to tank, that somehow the Elk are going to be leaping over them to grab a playoff spot or making a crossover in the East. Montreal banged up. McLeod Bethel Thompson, probably going to get a couple of guys back. Guess you got to go advantage Montreal on the road. Unless Cody can go back into, where he had success and do it all, and he may have to. Ooh, he'll be on the run. The spinorama is not going to be a one and done on Friday night in Montreal. Probably going to see a lot of spinorama. Ottawa to Toronto. On paper, it should be all Argonauts, but you never know with these two teams who's going to show up. Ottawa won last week. They took advantage of a Stampeder team that really didn't have a quarterback. Sorry, PJ Walker, but It's tough coming from the NFL. You've never played. You didn't look good in the preseason. You didn't look comfortable the week before. Isn't Nick Arbuckle second in the CFL when it comes to passing yardage? And at times has looked good. Come on, Nick. And then to me, the game of the week, Winnipeg at Calgary. What Bomber team will show up? Sure, Bomber fans are interested. Sure, Mike O'Shea's pretty interested. Big Play VA is slated to start for the Stampeders. They're a different football team with him than without him. There's no doubt about that. Calgary's got a pretty good defense. Both of those teams we worry about. Unless it's a tie, somebody could be a game closer to us. If you have to pick one, who do you want after us? Let's say we stay in first place for the rest of the season. Do you want Calgary nipping at our heels, or do you want the Bombers? A lot of us want to see the Riders. I mentioned it in the first segment of the show. Slay the dragon that is the Bombers. Yeah, we can beat them on Labor Day. We got to go to Winnipeg and beat them. And beat them down. If we can beat the Bombers all 3 times this year, wow. I'll call the postgame show. I'll be doing victory laps. There'll be nothing humble about that phone call. If you have something, if you want to share your thoughts on Rider Nation at 7-1, as always, 1-866-767-0620. Operators are standing by. That operator would be Colson. Colson, do we have Greg Piffles, Greg from the Piffles podcast? Do we have him, his number on standby, ready to go if needed? This is a bit of an emergency.
I don't have it currently dialed up, but I definitely could get it quickly.
Okay.
What is this emergency that demands Greg's attention?
Wrestling.
Oh,
I mentioned it earlier. Wrestling, but with a Sasky connection. There is a big Saskatchewan connection to WWE SummerSlam that happened on the weekend.
As you know,
so
I
you
pay no attention. So you want to fill me in, and others who don't listen?
No, I don't want to. I don't want to spoil it. I want to share this with somebody that could appreciate it. Because like talking to you and Barney, Curtis is great, but you know Curtis. Curtis is nice. He'll agree to anything or pretend he's interested. At least you and Barney are upfront about I don't care, and I don't know, and I don't care. There's a lot of people out there
I don't
that
care. I just said I don't pay attention. You said there's a Sasky connection. I'm interested now.
Well, and it's a big Sasky connection. This could be one of the most famous people in Saskatchewan.
All right.
Without a doubt. Oh, earlier today, I thought to myself, I want to be Colson, the renter. We've talked about on the show how you're a renter, and although you can't park in your backyard because it's full of mud, there's no paving stones, other people park in your parking spot, but you're a renter. When there's a problem at home, you can call your landlord and say, this is broken, fix it, pal. I pay you my hard-earned money for rent. Fix it. Now. Since we've got home, everything's gone wrong. Dryer, fridge, garage door. We got trapped in the garage on Monday afternoon because the cables broke. Oh, it's a $550 touch. But thanks, Glenn. He was our clutch performer, which we'll do after 4:00, by the way, for Nick's service. Mm-hmm. So yesterday I spent about 45 minutes on the phone between press 1, press 2, press 1, press 2 to try and schedule someone to come and look at the dryer, which is under warranty. Okay, so I finally get through, and they said, oh, not a problem. Somebody will call you this morning between 8 and 9:30 to tell you the window that they're going to show up. That's pretty standard, right?
Yeah.
So this morning I'm waiting around. It's 8 o'clock. It's 8:30. It's 8:45. 9. I'm checking my phone. Nope.
You're probably
and about
your mind
1:40
going,
this afternoon.
Did I miss something? Is this on me?
Exactly. Paranoid. Did I not have my phone? I have my phone right next to me. And then, Barney's texting me stuff. I'm like, dude, I'm waiting for a phone call. I need the dryer. Like, we're a family of 5. There's laundry all the time. So then it was about 1:40 this afternoon, getting ready for the show. And my wife goes, there's somebody at the front door. I don't know who it is. And it's the guy to fix the dryer. And I'm like, well, let him in. And she's like, okay. And so we go, and I was like, hey, I was able to talk to him and be like, do we happen to miss your call? And he goes through his phones. He's like, I thought I called you. And he's like, oh, sorry, bro. Yeah, that's on me. I totally missed that. I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, if you're here now, my wife will show you where to go. You can just do all that. And so that's being taken care of. But in the meantime, while I was now I got a phone because the ice maker is not working in the fridge. Remember Barney had the ice maker problems a while back?
Do you have the same brand? His was Samsung, right?
Mine's Whirlpool. Under warranty, 35 minutes, but now I'm waiting for a call from them to schedule when a technician could possibly come.
Of course.
They said a 24 to 48 hour window, and at that time, then the technician they'll tell us potentially what day they could come, but then it'll be the day before they'll phone to do the thing. And the ice maker we had fixed this same time last summer. So if they got to put in one every year because the kids are just going to town. So it's been one of those. Coming on the radio to talk sports is really nice. It's a nice distraction.
Absolutely.
So we do have Greg's number, or we don't. We'll track it down. We may have, let's take a break. We got a sports ticker coming up, and we'll see if we can rustle up Greg from the Piffles podcast to talk a little wrestling with the Sasky connection. This is the Sports Cage. Thank you if you're watching our stream on X and on YouTube. Appreciate it. Hit the subscribe button and like. Got a comment? Throw it in there. We'll put it up in the chat. And we're also in the home of local sports in Saskatchewan, 620 CKRM. Or a home run derby for the Toronto Blue Jays. This 3-game series in Colorado is exactly what the doctor ordered for anybody that was in a bit of a slump when it came to swinging the bats for the Jays. Top of the 9th inning, the Toronto Blue Jays 12. The Colorado Rockies 1. Colorado is terrible, but the Jays are just destroying them. The other night, the Jays had a record 25 hits when they won 15-1. So the Jays are going to wrap up that series. Off day tomorrow. Then it's time to put on our big boy pants and go up against a formidable foe. Shohei Ohtani and the Los Angeles Dodgers. A 3-game set this weekend, and we'll really find out what this Blue Jays team is all about. A lot has to happen for them to meet in the World Series, but right now, it's not crazy. Oh, the Toronto media. Shohei, the team that he burned, did anybody really think he was coming to the Jays? You can live in LA. You've got flunkies making bets. You can just disappear them when you get caught. So you don't go to jail. There's all of that. Yeah, the Jays. Wow. Nobody complaining about the Jays front office these days. Remember about 3-4 months ago? Atkins, Shapiro, winning cures all. WCBL playoffs start tonight. Regina's in Medicine Hat. Gary Brotzel was on about 20 minutes ago on the show talking about how some of the pitching Medicine Hat is going to see in these first 2 games they didn't see in the regular season. This could be a whole new Red Sox club that they haven't experienced yet. Moose Jaws in Saskatoon to take on the Berries. Brooks in Okotoks, and Lethbridge is in Sylvan Lake. Game 2 of the Red Sox Mavericks series goes tomorrow night. Curry Field, first pitch at 7. Gary said there's a ticket scam going on. Fake Red Sox tickets floating around. Go to their website or go old school. Just walk up to the ticket window. Have a fistful of cash. Stop in an ATM. And just pay in person like we used to. And then week 10 in the CFL kicks off tomorrow night. BC Lions in Hamilton to play the Ticats. Let's see. It's Maz here doing the SportsCage today. Oh, we got him? Oh. Let's go to the Western Pizza guest hotline. A bit of a last-minute invite. It's Greg from the Piffles podcast. How are you, my friend? We haven't chatted in a while.
Last minute? Was I carrying the Money in the Bank briefcase as I come flying in here?
Oh, so you and I know exactly what you're talking about. But for a lot of people, if you don't follow wrestling, you're going to be really lost. And one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about wrestling on the show today, because there's a couple of big things. The Hulk Hogan funeral, which was yesterday, and then there's a really big Saskatchewan connection to SummerSlam, which started on the weekend. And we'll ask you about the Riders being 7-1, but let's talk wrestling first. So yesterday, Hulk Hogan's funeral, it was a who's who of the wrestling business, but his daughter, Brooke Hogan, did not attend. Did you happen to see any of the photos or the videos online of people paying their respects to Hogan yesterday?
Of course, that came across my feed. I follow enough wrestlers and wrestling personalities that I couldn't avoid it, even if I wanted to. Say what you want about Terry Bollea, the man. Hulk Hogan was a touchstone of culture, not even just wrestling. Like, we're talking Sports Illustrated, we're talking Right Guard ads, we're talking movies, like the Rock and Wrestling cartoon. He was a part of a lot of our childhoods growing up, whether we wanted him to be there or not. But yes, unfortunately, his daughter being there was a massive story because she separated herself from him many years ago.
When it passed, and we were chatting about this, there is no wrestling today if there was no Hulk Hogan. It just doesn't happen. To take it to that level where it is now, where it's internationally known, and there isn't that. And then I heard a radio interview that Brooke Hogan did yesterday where she talked about the latest. Hulk, this was it his third or his fourth marriage? Well, apparently his new wife, she's a Scientologist. And there's a lot there that she didn't necessarily trust. She had asked to be taken out of his will. She has no money coming her way because she says she doesn't want to add the strain to her life because there are a lot of people that may come out of the woodwork to come after this money. And she doesn't want that. She's married. She has a set of twins. She just wants to live her life. So there's more to unfold to that story there, which is kind of sad. But the big news on the weekend, SummerSlam was held at MetLife Stadium in New York City. It was a 2-night event. And to me, you're wasting Roman Reigns if he's in a tag team match. But the biggest news to come out of SummerSlam, Cody Rhodes beats John Cena to win the World Heavyweight title again. And then, boom, the music hits. And Merrifield, Saskatchewan's most famous resident shows up, and there he is. And we're talking about Brock Lesnar. Did you know that this was going to happen, that Brock Lesnar is appearing at SummerSlam to come in and steal the show on Sunday night?
No, I had no clue. Based on Danielle Cormier's talking on like some recent media about his ties to TKO, he basically said Brock was persona non grata. So I don't know if that was a smokescreen or if they just burnt one of their own commentators' credibility. But, yeah, to see Brock Lesnar out there was the last thing I expected. I expected anything Cody to turn heel and The Rock to show up, not Brock to show up.
Yeah, so for anybody that hasn't heard the story, how long ago did Brock Lesnar decide to move into obscurity? Would be we going on 10 years now? And he chose Merrifield, Saskatchewan, correct?
He has land in Merrifield. There's some land by Mooseman Lake. He's got a bunch of land all over the place down in that southern corner, God's country, if you will. And he's been there a while. It's been over a decade at least. Yeah.
Yeah. And so what he does, right, he hops in his truck, he drives across the border, usually hops on a private jet, flies to wherever the event is, flies out and comes back home and goes back to obscurity to live on his ranch, raise his kids, and do all that. So some people actually don't believe that Brock Lesnar, the WWE or UFC superstar, lives in Saskatchewan, but it's real. It's not a work, as they'd say. It's that a shoot? It's legit. So, yeah. So, and the next pay-per-view, it's going to be Brock Lesnar against John Cena on his retirement tour, correct? Is that confirmed?
I don't know if it was confirmed, but they're definitely angling that way. And actually, I bumped into Brock and Sable at the Co-operators this year. His son was playing for Notre Dame, got drafted by the Medicine Hat Tigers this year. So, like, they're part of the community in Saskatchewan right now.
So did you mark out, or did you play it cool to be like, hey, man, how's it going? Hey, all right, good. Did you say anything?
I played it totally cool. I honestly did. I actually surprised myself. I just pretended like I didn't realize who he was at first. Also, I'm like, who's this big man beside me? I'm like, oh, that's Brock. Oh, my God.
New episode of Piffles Podcast out. 7-1 Saskatchewan Roughriders. I'm always curious and cautious because the other shoe can always drop. How are you and your co-hosts feeling these days in Rider Nation?
We're feeling really good. 7-1. We actually had Chris Milo on last night, so that was. We decided we should talk some kickers because Brett, bless him, but he's still dealing with it. So we had Chris Milo on, basically explaining the psychology of a kicker. But as for the Riders, they got this bye week. Probably had a good time, got to heal up, but they're going to hit the teeth of that schedule right now. They got Hamilton, and then Calgary, then Winnipeg back to back. Not saying none of those teams are beatable, but that's definitely the strength of the CFL season this year.
Greg, I tried to go back after the game was over to check and see what the experts were saying about that game. Nobody had their Riders winning by 28 points. Nobody. Maybe 3, some at 7. 10 is a stretch. But come on, you had to be surprised that we walked out of there with a 28-point win.
The spread, if I remember correctly, was 5.5. I had the Riders to cover. That I do know. Our Piffles picks go by the spread, so you can tell where I'm at. But yeah, no one expected that. Those Montreal games are always wacky. Call it the Rue St. Catherine flu. Call it the travel out east. Call it whatever you want. Those games in Montreal never go the Riders' way, so that's why it's usually a big deal when they do finally win there. But to absolutely blow the doors off the Alouettes to the point where they couldn't even get past the Riders' 46-yard line, and the only reason why they could score points because their kicker can kick over 54 yards is ridiculous.
I think for the longest time, it wasn't until late into the fourth quarter, the Alouettes had under 100 yards passing. And it was just total dominance. Total dominance.
Their kicker came out with more yards than McLeod Bethel Thompson.
Oh, we got to take it while we can, because there's been times where, and you know this, Greg, we haven't been 7-1. Sometimes we've been on the other end of it, looking at it the other way. We've been Edmonton, Elkville. This weekend, we'll enjoy that. Latest episode is up on YouTube and on all the socials if people want to check it out. And Chris Milo, he won 2 Grey Cups, didn't he? Did he win? Was it 07 and 13?
One in Saskatchewan, one in Ottawa. And we got him to admit the Saskatchewan one is his favorite Grey Cup. It's like picking his own kids, but he had to pick one.
You mean we shouldn't play favorites when it comes to our kids?
We all say we don't, but we know we do.
All right. By the way, that's my brother Wayne in our family. If there has to be a favorite of the 4 of us, it's him, and he knows it. I'm just reminding you again. Greg, hey, thanks for picking up.
The favorite always knows. The favorite always knows.
Yes, the favorite always knows. Thanks for picking up from a strange number, and it's always good to talk wrestling and football with you, bud. Barney sometimes just wants to turn a blind eye to other sports like WWE, which, by the way, ESPN now has got their hooks into WWE, and they're going to be milking fans for the pay-per-views. It will never end. Anyways, we'll let you go. Have a great afternoon. Time to take a break. When we come back, Murad Al-Katib will join us from the Regina Thunder season opener this weekend on the road in Edmonton. We'll catch up with him and talk about how we go from where the Thunder finished to get that Canadian Junior Championship and what the plans are. This is the Sports Cage on the home of Rider Nation, 620 CKRM. So far in hour 1 of the show, we've been talking about the Saskatchewan, how you feel about it. I'm always a cautious optimist Rider fan that the other shoe could drop at any time. Many, many times have a lot of us hit the top of the mountain when it comes to the Riders, just when we think we have it all going our way, and then things happen. No better than, and I will tell you, let's see, is it 14 years? 16. There is no better lesson to wait until it's completely done and over. And this is why I'm gun shy. And maybe if you're gun shy as well, the ultimate 2009 Grey Cup. There is no more kick to the guts than that as a Rider fan to make you think you had one thing and then look what happened? Nothing. Most of us don't even remember that they went to the 2010 Grey Cup because there was such a hangover from 2009. So sorry if us being 7-1. I love it. Don't get me wrong, but it doesn't mean anything yet. Until the trophy is hoisted, we gotta wait. Yes, we love it, but they don't hand out the Grey Cup in August. Could you imagine, though? A nice warm weather game? Oof. Imagine the tailgate. Could you imagine the victory parade? Let's say on Saturday we were having a victory parade, sunny 27, downtown Regina, Albert Street's nuts, liquor stores running out of beer, coolers. Everybody got a, what's the hot thermos, a Yeti or a Stanley Cup full of something? Enjoying it? It's Maz. This is hour 2 of the Sports Cage, filling in for Barney today. If you want to be part of the show, 306-936-6262, Prairieland Rentals text line. Or do you want to share your thoughts? Maybe you're not gun shy from 2009. You're over it, and you're just living the dream because the Riders are 7-1. 866-767-0620. We played some calls in hour 1 from the post-game show on Saturday. Everybody sounded so calm. Lucid, sober, level-headed. I think there's a lot of people that are 2009 gun shy, and for good reason. People still like to. Fans of not the Saskatchewan Roughriders still. They're not even fans of the CFL, but they still want to poke every once in a while, and that's what they go to. They just know 13th man. I'm like, you don't even know. You weren't there. You don't pay attention. You couldn't even tell me another CFL team. That's all you want to throw out there. Murad Al-Katib is coming up on the show. He's going to join us to talk Regina Thunder. They take on the Edmonton Wildcats this weekend to open their season. Is it unfinished business? I would think so, right? Losing to the Okanagan Sun last year in that CJFL semifinal. And we've also got a special Monday edition. Of Double Talk with Darian Durant. We don't have to talk to anybody more closely related to being gun shy from 2009 than that guy. Because that affected his life and a whole bunch of lives. They were handing out the Grey Cup hats on the sideline. Grey Cup champion Saskatchewan Roughriders. And then some poor guy had to go get them back because of what had happened. Whew, man. Tough spot. Not that we want to open old wounds. Maybe we should take calls for Darian today. You know, let people ask. Don't ask about taking the money from Winnipeg. He did. We love it. It's funny. Anything else? Maybe we'll do that. He'll be on just after 5 when we have a special Wednesday edition of Double Talk, because Monday was a holiday and then we'll do it, but he'll back to normal on Monday. Week 10 in the CFL kicks off tomorrow night. BC's at Hamilton. Ticats, hottest team in the CFL outside of the Riders. They started 0-2, and a lot of people thought, Hamilton doing Hamilton things, getting off to a bad start. They've rattled off 6 wins in a row, and it doesn't look like they're slowing down anytime soon. They've got it together. And the past couple wins have been impressive because Kenny Lawler has been involved, but the defenses have kind of taken care of him for the most part. Can he have a big game against BC? We'll find out. That's what I'm worried about when Hamilton comes to town in a couple of weeks. In Kenny Lawler's other stops along the way, he's done well against the Riders. There are certain players that just play well against us. He's been one of them. When he was a Bomber, even did okay when he was with Edmonton, and then when he was with a Bomber. Oh, that catch in the playoffs last year, man. Bo Levi looks good, and Hamilton's actually got a legit defense, and they're actually playing like it. Not as good as the Riders, but good. They're doing what they need to do. Edmonton at Montreal, Friday. Elks got to win. Montreal's got to keep win to keep pace with Hamilton. Ottawa at Toronto. Oof. If Ottawa loses, I know they won last week. Is Bob Dice on the hot seat? I don't know of any other team in the CFL that everybody gives chances to other than Ottawa. Never producing. It's always going to be Ottawa's year. They sign some good free agents. They try and put it all together, decent team. It just doesn't translate on the field. And Bob Dice, everybody said, one of the nicest guys, one of the best men in the Canadian Football League, but sooner or later, this is a wins and losses business. And Drew Brown, the franchise quarterback, got to start living up to that. It's the potential that they saw in him to be. But he came out of a very good Winnipeg system. Did he get too much credit for coming out of a good Winnipeg system? I would say Tyrell Ford. Ed Hervey is probably sitting in a press box going, all right, Tyrell, anytime now. Make a play. Be the guy that we thought you were. Now, Tyrell Ford is a good football player. Not too many guys that can play that position in the secondary that have a Canadian passport. But he was the product of a really good defense in Winnipeg. And he cashed in. That's great. But now he's on an island there in Edmonton. He's got to make plays. Your paycheck demands it. You have to do something. You don't have Willie Jefferson up front doing it for you. There's some nice players in Edmonton, but I bet you Ed Hervey is sitting there going, anytime we could use one of those takeaways. And he played Kenny Lawler good last week, but when you get paid that much money, you got to have production. Then Winnipeg and Calgary on Saturday. Bit of a head scratcher, those Winnipeg Blue Bombers this year. Thanks to everybody that's texting in. Prairieland Rentals text line 306-936-6262. Yes, we are playing Pick the Score. If you heard the show yesterday, Pick the Score was very confusing. It's not. Who's going to win between the Riders and the Ticats? Closest to bang on. You could win tickets to the Labor Day game against those Bombers. 3 weeks. And you have a chance to win a $200 Astel gift card. But when you send in your prediction, first name and last name on there as well. So we know who you are. Rando text. Do you answer random numbers on your cell phone when you don't know who they are from like weird area codes? No. So how do we know? A lot of people text in, but they don't put their credentials on top. So we're like, all right, well, next. Be that person, first and last name. And you'll have a chance to win with Kick the Score. Yeah, Winnipeg, Calgary. All reports coming out of Stampeder camp, Vernon Adams will be back as the starting quarterback. That Stampeder team is completely different when he is under center. And then I saw that Adam Bighill could be in the starting lineup to potentially face his former team. Does an Adam Bighill, with maybe not a lot left in the tank, just provide you the veteran presence that maybe the team needs? It's either 23 or 26 brand new players that they have on that Stampeder roster. So is just having Adam Bighill out there good for cohesiveness to be that team? If Chris Streveler is starting for the Bombers, could be a long night. With Zach Claros, that's a different story. Both teams can score and score fast. But as we've seen lately, when the backups are in, it's not great, it's not pretty, it's not fluid, it's not anything. But you could say that about any team in this league. If we do have the best backup quarterback in the league in Jake Mayer, and he came in when he played well and we got the win, but there were throws out there that everybody wanted back, him included. I'm sure he'd be the first one to admit that they left a lot out in the field. Be good to see. I'm curious because Barney and I got into this conversation yesterday. People talking about expansion. You gotta, I don't know if fix is the right word. You gotta make the best of what you have. A crowd of about 10,000 in Calgary on Saturday for what should be a really good game against a good team. Not awesome. If you're Jay McNeil, who's president of the Stamps, seems like a good dude, trying anything and everything. That's not great. So what we had talked about yesterday is, do you have to amend the league and all the franchises for that 10 to 15,000 fans, TV deal, gambling, and whatever else, and then build from there? I don't think you need to add a 10th team. You got to make good with what you have in these 9. Look at the Elks game last week on TV. And the Flames haven't won a Stanley Cup since 1989. The Oilers are in contention, and everything in Edmonton is Oilers. And in the Flames, it's a hockey city. We get that, but they haven't really been relevant lately, where the Oilers have. It's not going to get any easier in Edmonton. That's for sure. Oh, by the way, Saskatchewan Rough Rider Foundation 50/50. There's a new early bird prize to be won every game. This week, it's the Sparkling Hill Spa Getaway. Flights to Kelowna, 2 nights hotel at the Sparkling Hill Resort, and a Kerr Spa couples massage. If you're in love, this is a weekend getaway that would be, hey, it would be a remember when? If you win the trip but you don't want to go, maybe you're already going to another winery this fall. Maybe you're trying to get your wife to drink less wine because she's going back to school in a few weeks and it's been a pretty good summer, but maybe we all got to cut back and start living, reeling it in, should we say. Not that I'm saying anything. You could take $4,500 cash. Entry deadline is Thursday, August 14th at 5 o'clock. You can buy your tickets online at riders5050.ca. We're going to take a break. We'll come back. We're going to try and connect with Murad here from the Regina Thunder. And we're going to talk football. Opening weekend of the season in the PJFL. We'll do that next. This is the home of local sports in Saskatchewan, 620 CKRM. If you're checking out the SportsCage, listening on the CKRM app, don't forget to sign up for the notifications. When the cage does anything, we can shoot you a little note on your phone. You can get that Apple or Android. And hi to everybody that's watching on the stream today. Whether you're on X, yes, I did get a bit of a suntan on my vacation. And thank you for saying that if that's a backhanded compliment that I look better. I'm not looking for that, but hey, you know what? I'll take it. On X at SportsCage, give us a follow. And we're also on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. And if you want to jump in the chat, you can be part of the interviews that we're doing. If you want to come on and talk about Brock Lesnar living in Merrifield, Saskatchewan, being one of the WWE's biggest superstars, sure, why not? You want to talk about the Riders being 7-1? Sure, we'll take it. If we want to talk about the Regina Thunder and how they're not underdogs this year, they may have a target on them, you can do that too. Let's go out on the Western Pizza guest hotline and say hi to our next guest, Murad Al-Katib. He is one of the, what's your official title with the Thunder, Murad? I don't want to call you, everybody has a title. So what's the official one you're going by these days?
I'm actually the president of the Thunder, Maz. So, and Maz looking pretty tanned out there, looking good.
Nice. Well, thank you. I'll appreciate it. I'll take it. We were on vacation with 14 other family members, and I don't know if you've been on a vacation with that many people. Murad, you run a football team, and I have to assume at times running a football team with 50 players is probably less of a hassle than trying to figure out where we're going to go for supper one night.
Well, you know what, Maz? We've got 103 kids on the roster right now, so a little more than 50. And in fact, last Friday night, Michelle and I hosted 103 boys and coaches at our house for the end of training camp, and we cooked up 450 hamburgers and 150 hot dogs, and the boys chose their captains. Anyway, we're ready to roll, Maz. We're going to get going this weekend, first regular season game.
I had mentioned in hour one of the show that my first question to you was going to be, after last year's loss to the Okanagan Sun, finals 28-14, how long did you give yourself to kind of process that before you started thinking about the 2025 season? And I threw out a time frame, but I just want to hear your answer if you have one.
Yeah, we definitely took probably about 2 weks. You've got to digest. Maybe. I mean, listen. Certainly, Maz. When you work as hard as our coaches and volunteers work in a program like ours, you definitely within 2 days we were already, thinking about what do we need to do, because this has been a journey and an evolution, right? To take the Regina Thunder program from being well-respected program in the CJFL, but to take it to, elite program. If you look at our record over the last 4 seasons, we're 28 regular season wins and 4 regular season losses. We've went to a national championship. We went to a national semifinal. We beat the Hilltops a couple of years out of 4. So it's been back and forth. But you know what? We want to make sure we keep that progression going. So, a lot of changes here. We've got, basically a completely renewed offensive coaching unit. We've got a new offensive coordinator. We've got, Chris Getzlaff in as an offensive consultant, putting in a lot of work, and, definitely new starting quarterback that's going to be starting his first game this weekend. So, a lot of changes. We've taken a look at the program. We're going to continue to keep the evolution moving along.
Your new offensive coordinator, Carter Gusway. Who is he, the resume, and why did he tick all the boxes for you as president and for Scott McCulloch and everybody else on staff for the Thunder to say, this is our guy?
Well, Carter's just, I think he's a very bright young football mind. Regina kid, started off coaching here, was at the University of Regina, and then, as a part of internships, decided to go abroad and went to the U.S. and, had a stint coaching in NCAA, and then, wanted to continue his coaching and went over to Germany and coached pro football over in Germany. So, he kind of, ticked a lot of boxes for me. Number one, young, really liked the balanced attack. So, we want to have somebody who wants to keep developing that passing game. But, last year we proved that, our offensive line continues to be a strong force for this team. So we want to make sure we have a balanced attack. We like the experience that he had in other jurisdictions. We think that, he can bring some good, fresh ideas. He's young, Maz. He brings a lot of energy. And, if you turn around and look at, winning in a junior football environment, Coach McCauley, I estimate he spends over 1,600 hours a year volunteering. Wow. And in addition, Scott McCauley has a career with Pfizer Canada and, twin boys who are on our team. By the way, pretty cool little fact for you. We have 2 sets of twins on our team this year. So we've got, 2 brothers and 2 brothers playing, on the Thunder for the first time, a couple of sets of twins. So, the coaching side of this there's a big demand, Maz. It's we're pursuing elite program status, and we expect our coaches to bring that level of teaching to the boys as we develop them.
Offensive consultant is the official title for Chris Getzlaff. But he walks in a locker room, 2-time Grey Cup champion, Sasky legend, I've only met him, I think, once or twice. Just a great guy. And maybe some of the players have had to YouTube who he was, but you get Getzlaff right away. And he is only one way. It's all pro from the start. What does he bring to the locker room?
Listen, I got to tell you, Chris Getzlaff was there for every minute of training camp, right? So he's not taking this role as, a fly in, fly out, right? He's on the side. He's truly, instrumental in helping to develop, the offensive framework. And, Carter Gusway is great in wanting that input, right? And so Getzlaff has brought a level of, preparation, the mental aspects of the game. He's a winner. The bottom line is that, I got to tell you, none of the boys in the locker room had to Google who he was. This guy's a Saskatchewan legend, right? And having him associated with the program, we're ultimately, Chris Getzlaff exudes everything that the Thunder, is trying to be, right? Professional, a student of the game, completely committed, right? A winner in all aspects on and off the field. Like Getzlaff has done that in his career now. And so, again, having him along was something that we couldn't turn down. And boy, I'll tell you, it took a little bit of work, but he's all in.
You'd mentioned that you had some internal discussions about what it's going to take to make yourselves an elite program. So you've changed out some coaches and all that. What are some of the other things that may be new to the Thunder, the average fan may not see, but what are some of the other things that you think, you and your leadership group, to make this team elite?
I think that the off-season program, continues to evolve. And, again, the level of investment that we made, with Level 10 as our partner on the off-season training program, again, I look at the data that we've collected over the last number of years. Those players that are participating fully in our off-season workout training programs are not only getting injured less, but they're having more productive seasons. The goal-setting side of our program has been something that we've doubled down on. Johnny Tokar and his group of, kind of counselors and, goal setting coaches. This has been something that, if you end up in a position, Maz, where you're developing these young men, into, the mental aspects of the game, that's ultimately how we're going to be the most elite program, right? The big game, everybody on the field has some talent, right? We always say that, we recruit for, characteristic much more than talent, because all the boys coming in have talent. I mean, they're all elite players in their programs. This is major junior football. If you turn around and look at it, we're proud of one thing, that Regina Thunder has had more players starting a game in the CFL over the last 4 seasons than any other junior program in this country. So when we look at that, guys, and it's about raising, people who have great talent. We have a couple of players this year that are on the practice roster for the Riders. As you guys know, I mean, we're proud of Logan Furlan, coming as a 5-year guy from our program, and going in, not only starting, but being the Western nominee on Offensive Lineman of the Year last year. So those are the kind of, instances where you can see that coming from small town Saskatchewan, you can go through this program and you can become professional.
So last year, slaying the dragon, monkey off the back, you beat the Hilltops. So I would say this year, as someone who watches this league, the target is now on you, and that the Thunder are the team to beat. Is that something, if that's a role or if that's a title, do you relish that now to be like, no, we wanted this. This is the next part of our evolution where we are going to be the tier that everybody is trying to get to, and we're the team to beat?
You know what? When we had the captain's ceremony at my house last Friday, I had an opportunity to say a few words to the boys, and Coach McCulloch and I are very, very aligned. Again, it's a little bit of kind of a cliche to say, look, we're taking it 1 week at a time. But, I said to the boys, if there's any doubt, there's no doubt, right? We don't have any doubt, Maz. We're basically preparing our game. We want the boys to be advancing every week. We want to be playing our best football at the end of the year. And, ultimately, we want the players to, relish the fact that people are admiring our program. They're part of something special. We've had success recruiting now because kids want to come to this program because they're seeing the chance to play. They're seeing, the competitive, let's be honest, they're competitive athletes. They want to develop, but, everybody wants to win football games. And, so we don't look at it as a target on our back. We look at it as, kind of confirmation of the journey that we've been on. The fact that coaches around the league are turning around saying, wow, there's a culture there. I wonder what they're doing. That makes us actually quite proud. And I think that pride is what we say. It's not a threat. Target on your back should be a source of pride. And the boys are embracing that.
So looking at the schedule, Sunday, Edmonton Huskies in Edmonton, then back to Alberta. Holy smokes. Another weekend when you're paying no PST because you got to go back there to take on the Calgary Colts. Let's go with the Huskies. It's funny. There's the Huskies, there's the Wildcats, and I always get confused. Which one's kind of the more competitive? Which one's not? You can't take anybody lightly. What are you seeing from this Husky team this weekend? As Thunder, we got to watch out for.
I mean, listen, the Huskies are always a competitive team, right? They're always finishing, in that kind of top. In fact, I remember year 2 of my tenure as president 5 or 6 years ago, we ended up having to travel to Edmonton in the first round of the playoffs because they ended up in second place. So, good, well-coached team, tough. They're the usually the more competitive team out of the 2 teams in Edmonton, although we are thinking the Wildcats are going to take a step forward this year. What we're seeing, Maz, is we're seeing, a lot more parity in the league. Now, you still last year had the Hilltops and us. They finished, at 8-0. We finished at 6-2. We beat them in the playoffs. Hard to beat a team 3 times, as we say. But then on the other teams in the league, Maz, everybody beat everybody. So Calgary, I don't remember, beat Winnipeg. Winnipeg beat Calgary. Edmonton beat Edmonton. Edmonton beat Winnipeg. I mean, all of those other teams beat each other. That's showing the development of the league, though. There's been a conscious effort to develop, to get to more of a parity. And, we don't have things like a salary cap. What we do is we just try and respect territorial boundaries. we try and encourage the financial stability of our franchises. And we've had good support from the CFL franchises to ensure that the junior football programs remain viable. Again, we got to thank the Riders Foundation. When I took over, they were our main source. Today, they're only about 25 cents of our dollars that we generate, because we're successful in fundraising and doing all the other things we do to run a championship program. But the Huskies this weekend are going to be a tough team. They're always strong on defense. We always see a strong running game out of the Huskies. Again, big, strong boys on the O-line. And, again, we're expecting, our D-line is going to be strong this year. Offensive line is going to be one of our strengths. If we look at, kind of a couple of players who are on the practice roster I mentioned, Caleb Barajas, kid from California, is up for his second year with us. So he's on the Riders practice roster. Came in, trim. I think he's about 3'10", 6'3", 310. Real strong, athletic kid. Kenton Effa is going to be a captain on the defense. He's on the Riders practice roster. Local Regina kid, or local Saskatchewan kid. Again, strong linebacker, great football intellect. And so we're expecting, to be strong on both sides of the ball. We're going to have a passing attack with a new quarterback. So, pretty excited to have, our, three quarterbacks, kind of on the top three. It looks like we've got a third year, a first year, and a second year. So, again, very young QB corps that are going to be giving us what we think is going to be stability. So, Mosher is going to be our starting quarterback. And, again, a couple of other kids are going to be quite strong and continuing to challenge.
The home opener happens Sunday, August 24th against those Edmonton Huskies, 1:00 kickoff at Leibel Field. How important has it been for you as the president of the club to improve the game day experience year over year for the fans that are coming out? And like you said, putting down hard-earned money to come and watch some premier junior football.
Well, you know what? We've engaged, the board's been very engaged. And, Kelly Rempel, a guy that many in the Regina community know, has joined our board. And Kelly's been responsible for a lot of our game day experience stuff. And, we're pretty excited about the home opener. It's going to be the Indigenous game. So we've got a partnership with FSIN and some of the local bands. And, we're going to make sure that we have a very strong celebration of, Indigenous culture and kind of that partnership that we're trying to, move into with the communities. But you know what? That it's competitive for dollars. And I mean, junior football, Maz, I say it's about as pure as you can get, right? Those boys are out there playing for the love of the game. They're out there, trying to hold on to, the game that they love. And, we know that football is one that isn't, again, buddies I have in Davidson who are, as unfit as I am are still playing old timers hockey in Davidson, right? You can do that at 52. I could still probably get on the skates and skate around, not very well, but I could still do it. But you're not getting the football pads on at 52 years old and playing out on the field. Ew. And so, from that perspective, every game is their last game is the way that we see them playing. And, there's a certain joy in that, right? You watch the development. And, my biggest pride, as you and I have talked about this, is seeing doctors, lawyers, plumbers, counselors, teachers, carpenters who came from our programs, right? They're young men who are, contributing members of society now, and they're employable because football made them that way. So that's what this is all about. And, we're going to take it a week at a time, but it's an interesting year because the PFC will host the national championship. So when we, hopefully get to that stage of, who's going to win the PFC, we hope we're going to be standing and we hope we're going to be hosting that national championship. And we hope that we'll have a different outcome than we had a couple of years ago when we hosted.
Hopefully somewhere along the way, that pipeline of people that you've put out into society, Regina could use it. It's a city administrator, I think. I think I saw something online. There may be an opening there. All right, final question. How big is your house to hold 103 people party plus? And who had the job of cooking over 400 hamburgers? I hope that you split that up into shifts, or was that one person that would get the Gold Star Award for being the barbecue king or queen of 2025?
So Maz, I got to tell you again, we were lucky. We've got a big enough yard where, again, there is a pool and a little basketball court that the boys were playing on, but 4 volunteers, myself and 3 directors. We cooked 450 burgers and 150 hot dogs, and we did it in 122 minutes. So, we got a good setup, and know what? The boys ate well, and we even wrapped up 90 burgers and sent them home with the boys, because we went to Winnipeg or to Brandon the next morning, and we beat the Rifles in exhibition 30-11 on the weekend. So, yeah,
you really are a stats guy. If you were timing the barbecue, the input output,
122 minutes, Maz.
Wow. Hey, best of luck this weekend. Let's keep doing this throughout the season. As always, Murad, we appreciate you when you can make time to come with us and hang out on the Sports Cage. No problem. Regina Thunder taking on the Edmonton Huskies this weekend on the road. It's going to be a 1 o'clock kickoff on Sunday. All right, time to take a break. When we come back, the Toronto Blue Jays, they may never lose another baseball game. If it was only as simple as, can we just play the Colorado Rockies until the playoffs begin, life would be good. We'll jump into the MLB picture next. This is the Sports Cage on the home of local sports in Saskatchewan, 620 CKRM. He's the left fielder for the Toronto Blue Jays, number 36, Davis Schneider. He hit 2 home runs for the Jays this afternoon in Colorado. Final score, this is not a typo. Colson and I had to check this a couple of times. The Blue Jays won. They won 15-1 the other night. Pretty good, I would think. This afternoon's final score, Toronto Blue Jays 20, Colorado 1. That's a football score. The Jays just dominating all over the place. Is this it? So this is if you're watching the stream, there's the 20th run right there. It's a home run by Clement. Just at that point, are you just looking to be like, boys, can we just wrap this up? Like, just ground out to the pitcher so we can, like, get on the plane or get to the restaurant, have dinner. Like, it's over. It's over. Wow. That Jays team. Now the fun really begins. They're off tomorrow, and then they start a 3-game set with the Dodgers this weekend. Shohei Ohtani and the LA Dodgers. Who is this Toronto Blue Jays team? We're going to find out. That's your clutch performer for Nick's service right here on the Sports Cage. We do it every day around this time. What are we doing now, Colson? Let's see. We've talked wrestling. We've talked football. Oh, we do have a special Wednesday edition of Double Talk with Darian Durant coming up after 5. We'll chat with Darian. And we have an announcement to make during Double Talk about Double Talk for Monday. You'll like that. Are we doing we're doing the sports ticker now? All right, let's do that. Let's fire up the sports ticker here. All right.
It's time for the sports ticker, brought to you by Extreme Hockey and Sports, Regina's locally owned one-stop hockey shop. Now with a price match guarantee. 1425 McIntyre Street.
UCBL playoffs start tonight. Regina's in Medicine Hat to take on the Mavericks. Gary Brotzel joins us in hour number 1. If you missed any part of that interview, you can always go back and check it out on demand. It's the Sports Cage podcast, Apple, Spotify, or you can get it on our website at sportscage.com. In other action, Saskatoon Berries had a record regular season. But here's the thing about a short 3-game series. If the Moose Jaw Miller Express can just, have the baseball god smile on them for a couple of games, could be interesting. Moose Jaw's in Sasky tonight. Game 1 there. You've got Brooks in Okotoks and Lethbridge in Sylvan Lake. Now, Game 2 of the Red Sox Maverick series goes tomorrow night at Curry Field. First pitch is at 7. If it does go to a third game, it will be back in Medicine Hat on Thursday night. And then Gary said there's no breaks. If they keep winning, they keep playing. The only break that there will be a 1-day break when the teams get to the final. That is it. Because he said all these players got to get back to school. Because U.S. College, for most of them are from, gets rolling here in the next couple of days. And tomorrow night, Week 10, and the CFL kicks off. BC Lions in Hamilton to take on the Ticats. And that's your sports ticker for Extreme Hockey. Colson, I think we've made an error. Can we make an executive decision? If you want to pull yourself up here, I think we need to go back. We just did Clutch Performer for Nick's service, but I think we completely glazed over some low-hanging fruit when it comes to the Clutch Performer. We just had Murad Al-Katib on talking about the Regina Thunder. Colson,
I think I know where
I'm
you're
sorry.
going now.
Part of it, he said they had a team dinner at the house on Friday, and the captains and the speeches, and he mentioned they cooked, was it
450 burgers,
hamburgers, and 130-ish hot dogs in 122 minutes. Sorry, that earns clutch performer for Murad and the directors of the Regina Thunder. We apologize for the error. We just got caught up in the paperwork during the commercial break, and
another honorable mention is Shohei Ohtani. He's got 1,000 career hits now. I think it is. Yeah, 1,000 career MLB hits. So honorable mention, Shohei.
Nice. I wonder, did he get his bookie to place a bet on how many hits Shohei Ohtani would get and if it would be this season?
I don't think he would comment on it at this point.
Nice. So what are you thinking? I mean, listen, my brother-in-law, Greg, my sister, Marilyn, huge Jays fans. They've already made a trek to Toronto once this year to watch games. Taking on the Dodgers this weekend. Is this a World Series preview, Colson? As a Jays fan, you kind of have to feel, and keep in mind, a lot of Jays fans, like Rider fans, hey, we've all been burned before, right? A little bit of heartache and pain over the past 3 decades since the Jays won a World Series. So, but you got to feel good, right? Jays, Dodgers.
And the Jays fans have definitely been enjoying the last 3 days, like a 15-1 followed by a 10-4 followed by a 20-1 win. Like, if that's your team, you're enjoying life. But yeah, this will be interesting because
you don't hear anybody complaining about Atkins and Shapiro right now, do you? You haven't heard a peep about Blue Jays management in the past 3 months. Not a word.
Gee, winning really does hide everything and cure everything. Yeah,
it does. Look at us. We're 7-1 in Rider Nation. We're finding things to complain about. Exactly.
And I was going to say, I think it was Bob's call where he talks about until we beat Winnipeg, like, I'm not sold yet. And I think that's kind of what the Blue Jays and Dodgers here will kind of end up being, is like, okay, here's a real team who we're not going to, where the entire world would be shocked if the score is 20-1 for either of them, right? So
no, it's not.
Yeah, so this Blue Jays Dodgers, I think, is the same thing as when the Riders play the Bombers. It's the matchup that you're like, okay, this is really testing our team, really finding out what we've built and how good we actually are.
There's games, and then us as fans, then there's games that we deem meaningful games. But trust me, there's many years, a win's a win's a win. We would have taken some unmeaningful wins if it meant it would have helped us in a playoff situation. But yes, it's a meaningful series for the Jays because they truly will see, or we'll see how they do stack up. It's not that the Jays it's not that the Jays don't spend money on payroll. They just don't spend ridiculous payroll like the Dodgers and the Yankees do. That's the difference.
Yeah.
In a kind of controlled setting, as opposed to the ridiculous fantasy world money that the Dodgers and the Yankees live in, which doesn't always guarantee you that you win championships.
Yeah. The other thing we could ask every coach's favorite question: is this a must-win game? Is this a must-win series? I know coaches are just sick of hearing that.
If I'm an executive at Rogers Sports and Media right now, and I'm not, I'll hit my LinkedIn in case you want to.
If you were, I don't think you'd be hosting a Saskatchewan's radio show.
I know. I'm just saying. Everyone is always after a new revenue stream, as they call it, Colson. In the old days, we just used to call it money. Go get some money. Go sell something.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if I'm an executive at Rogers Sports and Media right now? I come into the boardroom tomorrow. All the other bigwigs are in there. Important people like Murad that keep stats, sign off on stuff.
Yeah, they track how long it takes to make the burgers. That's how you know they're a successful business.
Exactly. I say, listen, we cut off these Jays games off the regular cable packages that everybody is paying for this weekend, and we make them pay-per-view. We completely rip them out of the free Rogers Sportsnet package, and it's only pay-per-view, $19.95 a game. If you want to watch it, credit cards, please. Get that little stripe thing out. Let's go. That's my brilliant idea tomorrow if I'm at head office in Toronto. How are we going to generate new revenue off these Blue Jays? Because we need to cash in. Well,
definitely.
We got to strike when the iron's hot.
Definitely a good idea. If you did that this weekend, there might be a riot. But
listen, We'll get even with him. We'll just cancel our cable. We won't pay the bill, and we'll just get it shut off. Oh, wait, we tried that ploy as a sports. We already did that.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, can you turn on the football game? Maz, the cable got cut off. We can't. What? Nobody paid the bill. What? That's my brilliant idea. It's not happening, but in this world, and hey, believe you me, that's not out of the realm of, hey, actually, that's not bad. Because look at everybody. They upped the price of their app, which I would never pay for, but they did by like $75, got people in outrage. Could you imagine if they took those games off regular? It's not free cable, but the regular cable that made them pay-per-view for the weekend. Brilliant. Time to take a break. When we come back, a special Wednesday edition of Double Talk with Saskatchewan Roughrider, Grey Cup winning quarterback, legend, and all-around good guy, Darian Durant. This is the home of the SportsCage and Rider Nation, 620 CKRM. Before the top of the hour, Colson and I were just chatting, talking about the Jays, one of the hottest teams in the majors the past 6-8 weeks. They beat the Colorado Rockies today. The final score was 20-1. The dominance continues. But tomorrow is an off day, and then they'll take on the LA Dodgers, one of the best teams in baseball. World Series champion LA Dodgers. That's a whole different ball of wax. And we were talking about if you're an executive at Rogers who owns the Jays, and you're always looking for ways to make money, and how can you capitalize on content, and this is content. Well, if today's game was just content, because the Rockies suck, they're terrible, it's a bad baseball team. This weekend against the Dodgers, it's premium content, so I had said, hey, take it off normal cable and make those games pay-per-view. If you're a huge Jays fan, and there's a lot of them, and the Jays bandwagon is filling up every day, you want to watch the Jays and Dodgers this weekend, you pay extra. Chris from Regina, Prairie Land Rentals text line. No to pay-per-view for Jays. What planet are you living on? They can't even make the playoffs until this miraculous year. Whose side are you on? I thought this was a fan show. This is a fan show. They're obviously paying you too much on radio, Chris. Listen, it won't be long, right? They'll do this to you. There's going to be content, and then there's premium content. Some teams and games are going to be worth more. I thought, wouldn't that be funny? New revenue stream ideas. I think it's safe to say that they're probably not going to do that in the next 24 to 36 hours. Thanks for the text, Chris, though. Prairie Land Rentals text line. If there's something just you disagree, you're pounding the dash. What? Fire it off. Love to hear from you. Feedback's great. You can also call to 866-767-0620. All right. Normally we do it on Mondays, but because of the holiday, we're doing it on Wednesday. It's a special edition of Double Talk with Darian Durant.
It's time for Double Talk with Saskatchewan Roughrider legend Darian Durant. Double Talk is brought to you by Campbell Safety Consulting. At Campbell Safety Consulting, we work towards helping companies create a competitive edge by executing a proactive health and safety program.
This guy is premium content whenever we get him on. He's our guy. Grey Cup champion, Plaza of Honor, all-around legend. He's a dad to 3 daughters. He's a husband. There's nothing Darian Durant does not do. How you been? We haven't chatted in a while.
I know, Maz. It's been good. How have you been?
Living the dream, trying to not get in trouble from my wife or daughters and stuff, and talk a little sports here or there, stir the pot. Tiny little
dad
bit.
Life.
This football team we cheer for, apparently they can't lose. So 7-1. Life's good in Rider Nation. Darian, you've been down this road before.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Look, when you're winning and you're racking up these wins back to back like this, it's amazing. It's an amazing feeling, and there's no better place in Canada to be when you're winning than Saskatchewan. So the team is playing some great football right now, and hopefully they can keep it up as we move forward.
And on the flip side of that, when you're going through a 7-game losing streak, maybe you don't go out to get your groceries. Maybe you just do that Instacart thing.
Yeah.
You and I chatted on Saturday, a couple hours before the Rider game. And I don't necessarily know that we even talked about the game, but we thought, the Riders, they play well, all three phases, they win. But Darian, be honest. A 28-point win in Montreal on the road, I think that caught a lot of us off guard.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think anyone would predict that the Riders would go in and win in such a dominant fashion. I mean, from the opening kickoff, they just showed that they were the more dominant team, especially in Montreal. It's our place to play historically, but the Riders showed that they're not worried about what happened in the past. They've let it all go, and this is a new team. And for them to go on the road and dominate like this was definitely a statement game, in my opinion. So, kudos to the coaching staff for definitely having these guys ready. It's always a tough cross-country flight to go out to Montreal, and the festivities in that city could get the best of you as well. So I'm glad they were focused and were able to take care of business.
Oh, festivities. That's a good way to put it. All right. So for most of us, we're average fans. We have no idea. We just see, well, the ball got snapped and the ball got thrown. Take us through this game on Saturday. The Riders got the ball. What did you see that they were doing on offense that was giving the Montreal defense and Noel Thorpe problems that started early and then continued throughout the game?
Well, if you look at Noel Thorpe, historically, he doesn't like to play a lot of man-to-man, right? He likes to sit back and make you take the completions in front of you, and just hopefully you make a mistake. But sometimes you just can't do that with Trevor. Trevor's so good at taking the underneath throw and making sure that he gets his early completions and get everyone involved and gets into an early rhythm. And he did that. And what that did was that forced Noel Thorpe in Montreal to come up and play man-to-man. And when they did, you could just see the corner routes were on point. He was able to spot the blitz. He did a great job of looking off coverage and freezing linebackers. I mean, Trevor's just balling right now. And when I say balling, that's with a capital B, man. He's just doing everything right. He knows exactly where to go, and he's doing a great job of manipulating the defense with his eyes. So, whenever you're hitting and clicking like this, it doesn't matter what you do defensively. All you can do is hope that your offense can score and you can get into a shootout and maybe hope that Trevor makes a mistake.
If Trevor Harris is in the zone, as you would say, there's been times in your career when you're in the zone. When it's happening, can you explain it? Can you manufacture it? Does it happen organically? If you're not in it, what do you do? What does that feel like?
You just feel like you can't be stopped. And when the defense is balling like that and can get you the ball back, they're shutting Montreal's offense down. They just don't stand a chance. You know that, you're telling the guys, defense, give me the ball back because we're going to go down and score. They can't stop us. There's nothing that they can do defensively. I'm able to see every rotation of the defensive backfield. I see the coverage. He's just seeing everything. And when you're in that zone, I'm telling you, there's nothing you can do. And with an accurate guy like Trevor, whenever he's in the zone, defenses better beware.
What was the Rider defense doing? Because McLeod Bethel-Thompson, if he ever did roll out, was running for his life. Not much of a running game. They just were everywhere. And it's funny, they seem to shut Montreal down. They had less than 100 passing yards going into the fourth quarter, which is crazy.
Yeah, I just don't think this Montreal team has an identity. They're struggling at the running back position. They don't have a breakaway guy or a guy that they feel like they can turn around and give them the ball 15 or 20 times to get some positive things going for that offense. And when you're one-dimensional, you don't stand a chance. I mention this all the time that if you can't get in second and medium or second and short situations, then, you're playing it right into the hands of the defense. So Montreal, they just don't look like themselves without Davis Alexander. I'm sure they hoping they can get him back pretty soon. And he's showing, why, they put all their faith in him in the offseason and made him the starter, because it just seems like, he's night and day better than Bethel-Thompson right now. And this offense just functions better with him under center.
How much does it suck when you're the starting quarterback and it's 31-6? It hasn't gone well. You're not going to win. And the defense has got his ears pinned back. And you're standing there, not again. That's not good. Like on that Shane Ray sack, I felt bad for McLeod Bethel Thompson because he got pounded into the turf.
Yeah.
And it was like a statement. It was a statement of everything that the Riders did in that game. And it was McLeod Bethel Thompson paying the price for it.
And he's no spring chicken, right? He's getting up there in age, and those aren't the type of hits you want to take when you're getting up there in age. And whenever the D line can pin their ears back and just rush the quarterback, there's no threat of a run game. That's perfect. It's just like 7-on-7 for the defensive backs. They know a pass is coming. You don't have to worry about play action. You can just sit in coverage and play. And we like to call it when you turn the dogs loose up front. There's no better situation for the D line. And these guys want to get their stats right too. They're coming off a 6 or 7 sack game last week, and they're feeling good about themselves. And whenever you can get in a passing situation, the defensive line is just licking their chops.
Take us back to your playing days. Let's say there was a bye week coming up in Montreal, and a lot of you live down east. Would you get to go home or go from wherever from Montreal? Did you have to fly back to Regina? What was that situation? Could the guys go out and celebrate after a big win like that in probably one of the funnest cities in the CFL? How did that work when you played?
Yeah, well, we didn't have we weren't in the financial state where we could just, charter a jet and get right back to Regina. So flying commercial, we had no choice but to stay in Montreal and stay in these cities. We would definitely enjoy it if we were to win, but I can't recall winning too many games on the road in Montreal. I always spoke on it. It's always historically been a tough place to play for us. So I'm just surprised that the Riders were focused and, they were able to come out and dominate the way they did, because it's always tough to play in Montreal.
So we're 7-1, and that's a good spot to be. But in Rider Nation, a lot of us we're happy, but we're cautiously optimistic, and we're a little gun shy. And we got into it in hour one. We played some calls from the post-game show, and there's a lot of people being very tempered. Yes, it's great, but we've got to play Winnipeg. And I said the ultimate for me, being a gun shy Rider fan, until it's over, we don't take anything for granted. And 2009 Grey Cup, man. There's nothing that ripped the heart out more. So this is great, but having suffered through that, and I had said, there's nobody more attached to this than the guy we're going to have on after 5, because you lived it. Until the final whistle goes and they hand you that trophy, nothing is given, correct? I mean,
not at all. I mean, look, it's all about positioning yourself right now. You hope to rack up as many wins early in the season as possible. We all know that the real season starts after Labor Day, and this team still has a long way to go. They're winning the games that they're supposed to win. They're being dominant in spots where I think there were a lot of question marks before the season started. But there's still a long way to go. You have Hamilton after the bye. There's Hamilton coming. We'll see how they do this week. They've won 6 in a row, I think, and it could be 7 after this week. That's going to be a tough game at home, and then you still have to go to Calgary. Calgary's the only team to beat the Riders this year, and they won at Mosaic Stadium. So before you look to Winnipeg, and I know everyone wants to measure the Rider team against Winnipeg, you still have to look at don't even let me get to Calgary first. You still have to worry about this red hot Hamilton team coming in.
Yeah.
And then you have to go to Calgary. And we all know that Calgary is a tough place to play, even though Rider fans always dominate that stadium. Yeah. You have to go and deal with a good Calgary team with Vernon Adams Jr. back under center, and then you have Winnipeg back-to-back. So this is going to be a tough 3-game stretch for the team. Bye week's coming at a good time. I think you can, try to get Samuel Emilis back if his injury's not too major. But, that 3-game stretch of Hamilton and then Winnipeg back-to-back. I'm sorry, you got Hamilton, Calgary, and then Winnipeg back-to-back, 4-game stretch. That's when we're really going to see what type of team we have.
Darian Durant, special Wednesday edition of Double Talk for Campbell Safety Consulting. Hamilton, hottest team in the league. They started 0-2. They won 6 straight. BC is there tomorrow night. Bo is playing elite football. But in watching the games, they've talked about how Bo is a quarterback has changed from just straight gunslinger to now he's going through 3 and 4 reads. Is that something you all had to do when you came into the CFL, from being a hotshot gunslinger to learning how to play the position and learning how to take what the defense will give you?
Absolutely. I think when you come in and you're young and you're inexperienced and you don't understand how the league works, you're just going for raw gunslinger ability. I think in 2010, I led the league with 22 interceptions, even though we went to the Grey Cup.
Nice.
You're just out there slinging it, man, and you're just trying to, you feel like you can make every single throw. But what Bo is doing right now is he's just, when they take away Kenny Lawler, he's making sure that he takes the underneath throws. He's being very efficient. And, like you said, that's something that you have to learn as you progress and as you get older. It's all about protecting the football, playing a field position game. And if you look at what Bo's doing, he's just making sure that he doesn't hurt the team. And he's, able to put the team in a position to win in the fourth quarter. And he's been doing that the past couple of weeks with these game-winning drives.
They take on the BC Lions tomorrow night. A lot of people thought that Nathan Rourke may never return to what we saw in 2022. And then there's people, no, he will. He just needs a few games. Normally, the quarterback is the highest paid player on the team. You were the highest paid rider, I assume, at one time while things were all going well. But your contract was kind of in line with other quarterbacks. The money seems so lopsided, and it's come out. It caused problems in the locker room last year. The money is so lopsided. He's close to $700,000, not $500,000. All the pressure is on him and all of that. You've had the weight of the world on your shoulders. Does it look like he's still playing with the weight of the world, or the weight of the Lions world on his shoulders? And he's not comfortable?
Yeah, I think he's feeling that a little bit. And the pressure of, the way Vernon Adams is playing over in Calgary.
Yeah.
That may be in the back of his head a little bit as well. With some fans or some whispers maybe going on and with the Lions about whether they should have kept Vernon or not. But, the thing about when you sign for so much money, and I had to learn this as well, is that you may not have the type of weapons that you need, right? I look at the speed of these BC receivers without having Alexander Hollins and some of the other guys that they had when Nathan Rourke had his MOP season. I mean, you need those weapons, and sometimes it's better to not take as much in order to have the weapons around you. And when you don't have everything and the type of firepower that you need as a high-paid quarterback, then your team is going to suffer, and you're going to feel some of that weight because everyone's looking at your contract, and they may be asking, is this the reason why we're not having that type of success? So there's definitely there are multiple things that may be putting pressure on Nathan Rourke, and you can see it out there. I think he's pressing some games. He's throwing the ball. He's airmailing a lot of passes. He's throwing passes in the dirt sometimes. He just doesn't seem like his, like we saw a couple years ago. So, hopefully he can settle down, because I still think he's a great player. He's young, but sometimes not taking all the money and making sure that you can have the weapons around you is the better thing to do.
If he was making $500,000, and that's great money, that's life-changing money, but that extra couple $100,000, that's 2 good receivers at $100,000 a year. And that seems to be the difference. And BC, if anything, at times they've looked great, but for the most part, they've looked inconsistent. Who knows on the road tomorrow night in Hamilton? The Bo Levi thing, and the defense is playing well. Yeah, and like you'd said, even without Kenny Lawler, it's all coming together. Edmonton goes on the road Friday night to go to Montreal. Cody Fajardo has made the Elks a better football team. They haven't won, but they look like a complete football team. Cody is doing Cody things. They look respectable. Do you think that Montreal's still banged up? Do you think Edmonton can go in and get a win on Friday night in Montreal?
I think so. And I think Cody will be fired up going back to Montreal after the way they let him go this past offseason. Like you said, he's definitely given Edmonton hope. this offense looks totally different. And I think, this offense is tailor-made for Cody. It's more of a drop-back passing style offense, which suits Cody's abilities. He's very efficient. He takes care of the ball. He doesn't throw a lot of interceptions. And, it doesn't take for him to use his legs as much in order for this team to move the ball. So I think the offense fits him better. I would have loved to see what they could have done with Trey Ford and using him a little bit different. But, this offense seems to fit Cody. And I think with the way the Riders went into Montreal and beat up on them, Edmonton, I think, can do the same thing because this Montreal team just doesn't look like the dominant team they were looking like earlier in the season.
I said it last hour. If you're Ed Hervey and you brought in a lot of free agents, one of them is Tyrell Ford, you're paying him really good money. He's one of the highest paid defenders in the league. You're probably expecting him to make a play. Now, he was great in a very good Winnipeg defense, but he doesn't have all of that surrounding him now. So now he has to kind of come through. And it's in games like in Montreal where he may have to start being the game changer to earn his paycheck. Sometimes being the high price free agent and signing that ticket, just like with Rourke, kind of put a target on your back, right?
Absolutely. I had to learn the hard way as well. Sometimes, but when you're young, look, this is life-changing money. When you play in the CFL and you get a chance to make, $200,000 a year or whatever his salary is. For a lot of guys, this is life-changing money. You don't think about the situation you're in. You don't think about the team you played for. You don't think about, in Ford's case, you have Willie Jefferson and Adam Big Hill and some of these other guys in defense Jackson, that are making things. Yeah, exactly. These guys are making things easier for you as a corner, but then you go to Edmonton and you don't have these dominant pass rushers and guys to make the quarterback throw the ball before he wants to, and you can jump routes and different things like that. These aren't things you think about when the money's on the table. And I can't blame the guys. When you're young and you have an opportunity to jump at the money, you have to. But I think more and more guys will see, it's better sometimes to stay on a good team and make less than it is to go to a bad team and make a few more dollars, because you'll make it up in Grey Cup money. You'll make it up with appearances around the city, playoff game, money as well. So, guys should learn from some of the mistakes of us older guys, and you can see that, like I said, sometimes it's better to stay with a good team and make a little bit less because you're going to get more opportunities. And when you play for a bad team and you lose, there are a lot of changes that happen. GMs are looking to cut salaries so they can bring in other players. So there's a lot that goes with it when you sign for those big contracts. And when you're with a team that's established and you're on a great defense, sometimes it's better to stay in that situation.
Toronto, that's a coin flip. What team is going to show up? Somebody's probably going to win. Ryan Dinwiddie and Bob Dice, I'm sure, would love to know if they have any insight as to who may win that football game on Saturday. How do you... I think Toronto is just better, but every once in a while, Ottawa can just rattle off the odd win.
Yeah, I know. It just seems like whenever you expect Ottawa to lose, they just show up and get a win. But, Toronto's been pretty much in every single game. They're the better team. Arbuckle has been playing some good football. Even last week, they put up, I think, 30 points against Winnipeg. They forced Strevler into 3 interceptions. Unfortunately, the return game of Winnipeg pretty much took them over the top. But Toronto hasn't been playing bad football. And, I think for them, if they can just be a little bit more consistent and show up a little bit more defensively, then they should win this game pretty easily. Toronto, the defending champs, they're still there. They have that pedigree. Ryan Dinwiddie's still a great coach. And I expect them to be able to handle Ottawa this weekend.
Last week, if it wasn't for Willie Jefferson, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers do not win that football game. Willie Jefferson took over for the Bombers in the second half and completely changed everything. Willie may have to have another one of those games in Calgary on Saturday. Vernon Adams is expected to start. He's off the injured list. And Bombers, Stampeders, to me, I think should be the game of the week on Saturday. I'm looking forward because if the Bombers, if anything, they've been the kings of inconsistency, and the Stamps, when they're going, look unstoppable. But then there's times where, like every team, they look human.
Yeah, and I mean, not having Vernon Adams just it just shows you what type of player he is and the difference maker that he is in this Calgary offense. I think the defense was pretty solid. But there's only so much you can do when your offense not moving the ball. You're on the field all game. Calgary's still the number one scoring defense in the league, but having Vernon Adams and having an offense that can put points on the board, it saves the defense. It gives you that extra rest. It gives you the ability to get to the sideline and make adjustments. But if you're always on the field, then you can't do that. So I'm not sure of the status of Zach Collaros this week. I don't think he'll be back. And, I'm not sure if Chris Streveler's the answer. He just hasn't shown me enough in the past game to do enough to beat a good team. Last week, that return game, and like you said, Willie Jefferson on defense was just balling out there, man. So I see Calgary dominating Winnipeg again. I honestly do. I just don't think that they can do enough offensively, and if VA's healthy and he's anything what he's shown this year, then they'll get this win, especially with Zach out of the lineup.
Yeah, it just seemed for whatever reason with Zach in the lineup, everybody has a team that has their number, and it seems like for whatever the Stamps do offensively, defensively this year, Winnipeg just can't stop it. So I'm with you on that. All right, we got a couple minutes left. We're going to wrap on this, and I'm not saying that you can, if you want to, renounce your loyalty to the Dallas Cowboys with what's going on. But let's say we don't do that. Let's address this head on, because it's not good times in Jerry world. The Dallas Cowboys haven't even played a snap of preseason football, and it's all fallen apart. Micah Parsons wants a trade because Jerry Jones is doing Jerry Jones things, making it hard for the star players. If you don't have Micah Parsons, Darian, what do the Dallas Cowboys have on defense?
Absolutely nothing. I mean, even with Micah Parsons in the lineup, they were almost last in every category defensively. So, I mean, if you want any shot of being able to rush the quarterback, then you get this deal done. But on the bright side for Micah, he's not out there practicing. He's not wearing himself down in training camp. Training camp can get tough, man. And you're doing these inter-squad scrimmages and all of these other things that could put some wear and tear on your body. I think a deal will get done. Micah's just a little frustrated. It's the first time in his life where he's looking at the type of money that could just change the trajectory of himself and generations to come after. So I know he's a little frustrated. But, if he just looks at the history of Jerry Jones, he did it with Emmitt Smith. He did it with Des Bryant, CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, you name it.
Yeah, Dak Prescott.
A lot of the great players or guys who are due for big-time contracts, Ezekiel Elliott as well. I mean, he's been through this process with Jerry Jones. So if I'm Micah, I'm a little frustrated for sure, but I realize that, I'm not going through the tough days, the 2 days of training camp. I don't have to put my body through all of this, the tough practices and dealing with these 300-pound linemen. Micah Parsons isn't the biggest of guys. So, he'll be fresh when he gets back. So I think a deal will get done. I hate that it's the Cowboys always, usually when Dallas has a quiet offseason, that's when they have their best years, right? But whenever you have things like this going on, you can pretty much pin it that it's going to be a bad season for the Cowboys. So hopefully Micah gets paid, but I don't like the history of this because the Dallas Cowboys don't have good seasons when, you have this type of turmoil.
So let's say this is Darian Durant and the Dallas Cowboys, and let's say the Jones family was standing on the sidelines and you happen to take a snap. Is there any scenario where the ball you have to throw in that direction anyways? It may have slipped out of your hand and maybe just kind of zing by Jerry and the rest of the crew on accident. Like, is that a possibility?
No, man. Like you don't want to bite the hand that feeds you, right? Especially when you're looking at, $200 million. There's no way. I if I saw Jerry over there on the sideline, I don't know if I would even throw the ball in that direction. I mean, I need to make sure his head is, he may get easily concussed at his age, right? So I need him to be clear-minded where he can sign his name on that big check that's coming up.
And for anybody that's new to Double Talk with Darian Durant, we learned a couple of months ago that in Darian's NFL training camp experience with the Baltimore Ravens, he was fielding punts. And did you break your finger doing that, or you had a broken finger when you were doing that?
No, I broke my finger trying to catch a punt, and never ever seen a punt in my life. Okay. But being a 5'11", 5'10" quarterback, you're trying to do everything that you can to make the roster, and you know anything about NFL punters, they punt the ball sky high. I mean, higher than I've ever imagined. And I just didn't have any ball skills to get up under it and field it. So I tried to catch it, over my head like this, and it just snapped my finger down, man. So it was just a horrible time for me.
So Monday on the show, we're going to do Double Talk in its normal day at time, just after 5:00. And I teased this earlier, we have him on other times during the week, but Double Talk on Monday. So you're going to get Darian Durant and CFL legend, a guy who you said was number 2 on your list of guys on defense you didn't like playing against. Charleston Hughes is going to join us. I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, I am too. It's been a while since I've spoken with him, and maybe we can relive some of those good old rivalry games and, what he was going through mentally when he played us. And I could definitely tell him about how we game plan for him as well. So looking forward to it. I know it's going to be fun.
We can probably all add in what our blood alcohol level was at some of those games in Calgary when things were heated and stuff, as far as fans go. And then if some people did get arrested as part of, getting kicked out of McMahon Stadium, and others were just told to leave or they would get arrested. There's a lot we can unpack. That'll be Monday's Double Talk right here on the SportsCage. As always, sir, have a great weekend, and we'll catch up with you Monday.
Too, man. Take care,
Darian
Maz.
Durant for Campbell Safety Consulting right here on the SportsCage. When we come back, it's the debut of the Junior Football Show. We'll do that before 6:00 tonight. Each and every week on Wednesdays, we'll take a look at the junior football scene across the province with Dave Thomas. The SportsCage continues next on the home of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, 620 CKRM. Again today, the Blue Jays scored 8 runs in the 9th inning. Final score, Jays 20, Rockies 1. Jays 20, Rockies 1. Jays are off tomorrow. They'll start a 3-game series with the LA Dodgers on Friday. The WCBL playoffs start tonight. Regina's in Medicine Hat to take on the Mavericks. Moose Jaw's in Saskatoon to play the Berries. Brooks is in Okotoks, and Lethbridge is in Sylvan Lake to take on the Gulls. Game 2 of the Red Sox-Mavericks series goes tomorrow night at Currie Field. First pitches at 7:00. Gary Brotzel, who was on the show earlier today, said, listen, the only 2 places to get tickets are through the Regina Red Sox website or right at Currie Field. There's a bit of a ticket scam out there with some false tickets floating around. Don't get caught up in that. And Week 10 in the CFL kicks off tomorrow night with the BC Lions in Hamilton to play the Ticats. It's Maz in for Barney today doing the SportsCage along with Colson, one of the double C's. Colson, have you seen, we talked about this a little yesterday. Have you seen Happy Gilmore too?
I have not. Right before we get into that, quick touch on the Blue Jays you mentioned. That 3-game series is a franchise record for them for runs, 45 in a series, and MLB record with 63 hits. So Blue Jays cooked the Rockies, which, they're the Rockies. But no, I have not seen Happy Gilmore 2. I don't have Netflix. I'm of a younger demographic, so everything's really expensive in this economy. So my wife and I, we cycle kind of which streaming service we have.
Oh no, that's not crazy. We do the same thing because I told the kids, if we have Netflix, there's no Disney Plus. If we have Disney Plus, there's no Netflix. I am too lazy to cancel Amazon Prime. They just charge me that $5, so we have Amazon, which we don't watch a ton, but it's there. Yeah. Plus, we still have cable. We have full cable, and a landline phone. So keep in mind that's where we're going to disconnect as far as similarities go in your life and mine because. Listen, I grew up with a landline. Why don't you just keep a landline forever, right? Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So I saw it.
If I moved into a house with a landline, I'd probably keep it, but like I'm probably not going through the effort to put one in.
My big thing last week about Happy Gilmore 2 is like, stop reviewing it like this is some sort of Academy Award nominee film. That Steven Spielberg directed it, or Steven Soderbergh, whoever you want. It's an Adam Sandler film. And as far as Adam Sandler films go, it's a pretty standard Adam Sandler film. You get his usual cast of characters, like Nick Swardson is going to be in every Adam Sandler movie. Mm-hmm. It's a good story. I think it's funny how they address him, Virginia, and they do it early in the movie. And I'm like, okay, it's a decent enough show. Some people, near the end, the plot got a little crazy. It's a movie about it's a movie about a hockey player, a failed hockey player who goes on a golf tour to win his grandma's house back. I thought it was okay. I had no problem with it. It was done. I was like, that's good enough. I didn't know what else to think.
Yeah. Yeah, like if I get to watch it, I'm not going in expecting like a Marvel superhero movie. I'm not expecting a thriller. Like, it's an Adam Sandler film. It's an Adam Sandler comedy. You know what you're getting into. So, yeah.
306-936-6262, Prairie Land Rentals text line. Did you see Happy Gilmore 2, and what did you think? If you temper your expectations, I get it. And there's not a lot out there. There's no films out there. So I think that's why everybody is over-analyzing, because the original Happy Gilmore, which was on just normal cable the other day, I happened to have on in the background, watched it start to finish. That was in a time 30-some years ago when there was still a lot of really good movies being made. So it just kind of floated through the ether, being what it was. There was a lot of cameos in there, and that was good. Some of the cameos for some of the younger people I didn't recognize. The big news today, ESPN down in the States is acquiring the NFL network. The NFL has entered into an agreement to sell the NFL network and other media assets to ESPN. The league will receive a 10% equity stake in ESPN in return. The deal still requires final agreement. The NFL will continue to own and produce the Red Zone channel, which is pretty awesome when you can watch all of the games on screen at once. And it's going to allow ESPN to distribute. NFL fantasy football will merge with ESPN. I don't play fantasy football, so I don't care, but I know you do. So I know that's maybe big for you. Doesn't affect me at all.
I already use ESPN, so it doesn't affect me a whole bunch, but.
All right. Preseason action tomorrow night in the NFL. Indianapolis, Baltimore, Cincinnati, Philly, and the Raiders in Seattle to take on the Seahawks. Time to take our final break on the show. When we come back, we'll wrap things up. And the debut of the Junior Football Report right here on the home of local sports in Saskatchewan, 620 CKRM. It's been a busy show today. Thanks for being part of it. If you've missed any part of the SportsCage, you can always grab the podcast on demand. I know some people like to listen at their leisure. Maybe going to be on a treadmill, doing a long drive. Gary Brotzel, General Manager, President of Regina Red Sox, joined us. Murad Al-Katib from the Regina Thunder. And Darian Durant was also on for a special Wednesday edition of Double Talk. And Greg from the Piffles podcast dropped by to talk a little wrestling near the end of hour one. Hulk Hogan's funeral yesterday, and then Brooke Hogan. And the pride of Merrifield, Saskatchewan, Brock Lesnar, is back in the WWE. He was the big surprise guest at SummerSlam on Sunday night. Listen, it's real. Just because we know the outcomes, right, doesn't mean that the pain's not. All right. Apple, Spotify, or you can catch any of our podcasts, whether it's this show or any show that we've done in the past, at sportscage.com. Barney back in tomorrow. We wrap the show today. Dave Thomas and the debut of the Junior Football Report right here on 620 CKRM.
I'm Dave Thomas, and this is the Junior Football Report. The 2025 Prairie Football Conference season will kick off on Sunday with all 6 teams in action. The defending champion Regina Thunder will be in Edmonton to take on the Huskies, while the Saskatoon Hilltops travel to Winnipeg, and Calgary will face the Edmonton Wildcats. Regina Thunder linebacker Kenton Effa is ready for the season, and then some. Effa has been practicing with the Saskatchewan Roughriders this summer. I asked the Yorkton native if his opportunity to practice with the Riders has resulted in him getting a key to the city of Yorkton.
I don't know about that. I'd say being given this opportunity to play on the Riders and practice with the Riders has been like a lot of hard work combined with a lot of support from my family, all my coaches through the high school program, through the Thunder. I've had great coaching and which has ultimately given me this opportunity to practice with the Riders.
It's pretty cool when you see from afar the players that look their eyes wide open. Oh my gosh, there's Trevor Harris, or there's Sam Emelis, or Kean Schaefer-Baker, or Malik Carney. The list goes on and on. Did you have one of those moments when you walked into the room for the first time? Oh my gosh, there's so-and-so, and he's my teammate?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I've been a Rider fan since I can remember, right? That's my first experience with football, my first love, watching the Riders. I've been sitting in this stadium as long as I can remember. So of course that first day was like, it was really like, it was a dream come true, to be quite honest with you. And yeah, like I'd say it's becoming a little bit more normal now and starting to settle in, but those first few days are definitely an eye-opener for sure.
Tell me about the Thunder program. You're PFC champions, but I get the feeling that the way last season ended, there's still something more that this team, this franchise is craving.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, as I'm playing on the Riders, like you're practicing on the Riders right now, my first and utmost focus is with the Thunder. That's my priority, and my priority is like to do everything I can to help our team get to our ultimate goal, which is a national championship. So yeah, that loss really hurt us in last November or October, whenever it was, and it's really fueled us to the off season. We've had a long, hard months working out at level 10. We've had 40, 50 guys a night there all grinding, and there's something to be said when you're working hard with your teammates all together at once. It pushes you to be better, become that bigger, faster, stronger, and preparing us for this next season.
Okay, tell me a day in the life of, because you're with the Riders and you're with the Thunder on a daily basis.
Yeah, so today what my day will look like is I came in at about 7 and just got my body ready, did some stretching, and then had breakfast here at Mosaic. They do a great job feeding the guys. It's pretty crazy for me. I've been loving all the food that they provide, and then I have meetings from like 8 to 10, and then 10:20 we're out for practice until about 1. So then I'm gonna go in, and then there's some more post-practice meetings, and after that I'll probably hit the tubs, do some recovery, watch some film. At about 4:30 there's a team lift with the Thunder, which I'll probably take it a little bit easy on that. But then we got meetings for the Thunder at 6 to 7, and then 7 to 9:30 practice. And then our coach Dawson, our defensive coordinator, will probably hold us in there for some more post-practice meetings. So it's a lot of meetings and a lot of recovery and taking care of your body. I've been really utilizing the cold tubs and hot tubs here at Mosaic, and that's definitely been helping out. But yeah, like I've really just fallen in love with the process. That's what you got to do. You got to like look at it every day. Like it's a long day, but you got to look, I get to do this, right? If I wasn't doing this, I'd be out laying concrete for the city of Regina. That was my job before I got this opportunity. So you really got to come in every day with just be gracious and be thankful that where I am right now. So yeah.
You cannot wipe the smile off your face, so tell me about getting into game action with the Thunder. You start in Edmonton against the Huskies. How important is it to get off on the right foot?
Oh, absolutely. It's gonna be crucial. The Huskies, they gave us a really good game last year. They're a great program. Every time we play them, it's gonna be a physical battle, right? They're one of the most physical teams in the league. So through training camp, we've put a big emphasis on getting ourselves ready. And really on defensive side, we've been really focusing on stopping the run because we know they're a real physical team, big O-line, big running backs. They're going to be pounding the rock, so we've been getting prepared for that.
The Thunder's first home game is in Week 3 when they'll host the Edmonton Huskies Sunday, August 24th. Tickets available through the Thunder website. And that's the Junior Football Report.